All right, welcome everyone to Going the Distance, the Rocky series and Creed podcast. I am your host Ryan, and flying solo with me today is Katie.
Hello, everyone.
How you doing?
Good. I mean, it's Friday. It's been quite a week, but it's going to be really nice weather in Denver this weekend, so that's positive. How about you?
Well, when you say nice weather in Denver, you're up high, right? So is it does it must get cold in Denver?
It gets cold, but it's very sunny here, so it's going to be like 60 some degrees. I don't know what that is in Celsius. 60 some degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, quick math, that's like 12 to 15, I think, Celsius. So that's nice.
So, yeah.
That's nice. Well, good for you. Well, we're
Thanks.
missing Kyle today. Kyle has left the show. No, just joking. Um, just well, I don't want to it's nothing too personal. He's just got a busy family life. It's just one of those days. I'm a parent, he's a parent, and it's some days are just the family comes first. But we'll try to get a quicker recording in sooner than later. Like usually we do it every 2 weeks. Maybe we'll try to get one in even next week so we can get Kyle in quicker than sooner than later, as they say, if you're up for that.
Yeah.
Okay. If my life's not too busy, because we're about to put our house up for sale. Like
Oh, it's sooner. I think I misread your Facebook post about it. So it's earlier than you anticipated.
much earlier, yeah, yeah. We
Okay.
thought we'd probably leave in the summer of 21, but it's looking like we're leaving March 21.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, the house is going up for sale. So if anyone in the local area wants to buy our house, let us know.
You've
Uh,
been there less than a year though,
no,
right?
year and a half.
Oh, okay.
Short time, very short time. I just got promoted at work. Yes, I know. Hold the applause. Just joking. Uh, yeah, thank you. But sometimes with promotions, it can mean, not always, but in the military, usually a promotion can mean, hey, great job, you got promoted. Now with your promotion, let's go put you somewhere where that promotion is applicable. So that's kind of what's happened. So definitely will take that. I will not turn down a promotion. I took it, of course, and I'm going to go back to sea. That's the big news. So actually, since we're talking about it, yeah, come 2021, I'm going to be doing a lot of sailing that will interrupt the podcast. People who've been on this show for years will know, and you've heard it when you did all the podcasts listening there,
Hmm.
Katie, that there were breaks. For you as a new listener, there weren't any breaks, but if you're listening to us live, there will be some
Hmm.
breaks where I'm just not here, but we can discuss offline about you and Kyle doing shows without me. It's gonna be weird because I've been on every episode, but you know what? You guys are more than capable. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it
Oh
out.
gosh, no, you are the heart of the show. I don't know. I don't know. I don't
Uh,
know.
your old heart rock. All right, so let's get right into our emails and what have you. We have a follow up from our last episode. This is episode 13 of the Creed movie. Episode 12, we had a really interesting email from Hector where he mentioned his father is kind of like the town Rambo, and he said depending on what side of the issue you're on in the town, he's either the good Rambo or the bad Rambo. Okay, so I just want to give a personal shout out to Hector. He is our favorite wrestler. He's a faithful listener of the show. He's an incredible emailer. He always gives us great stories, jokes, insights. He posts wonderful things on Twitter about his wrestling career and his family. He does like toy videos, like a reveal, like what do you call opening of toys and stuff. He really charismatic guy. And I just want to apologize to Hector because he sent me the response that I asked for, but I didn't read it. And the reason why I didn't read it when he sent it to me was because I wanted to read it live and kind of react with the audience and with you, the co-hosts, of the story that he was going to share with us. Because it was a nice long email, so okay, I don't want to read it, and I still haven't read it. So when I mentioned to Hector, hey, can I read this on the? Do I have your permission to read this on the show? He said, well, no, I told you not to read. He goes, I told you not to read it. And so Hector, that's why I asked this very stupid question because I didn't read the story. Thus, I didn't read your instructions to not read it because. But we talked, and he said um, that he goes, I reread what I wrote you, and I didn't want to incriminate my dad for anything. That's why I typed, please don't share this. But he goes, but I think it's okay. Most of the people that wanted my father dead are dead themselves. So again, I haven't read his story. So reading this response that he wrote to me when I asked to read it, it's got me very intrigued. He goes, oh, that's another reason he came to Los Angeles. He had captured all the men who accused our family of being communists, except for one who had fled to Los Angeles. A couple years later, when we came to Los Angeles, my dad found him dying of cancer. 15 years later, unknowingly, this man's granddaughter and I were high school sweethearts. And that's how I learned the story behind my dad hunting this man down. Yeah, so there's the sequel. Let's go to the prequel, and with Hector's permission, we can read this story about his dad, the Rambo of the town. You ready?
Okay. I'm ready.
All right. He goes, oh, from the email. I am from El Salvador. And I think, did Kyle guess that?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
You know, Kyle is like this well of information.
Yeah, so Kyle is not with us today. We've said that already. And as always, it will probably mean this episode will run long because he's our referee to shorten things up. And all the smarts is gone from the podcast. So I might be the heart. You're the looks. I'm the heart. And he's the brains. And together we have a pretty good team. But
what are you trying to say, Ryan? That we're both stupid?
I think we are. I'm more stupider. Okay. So he goes to El Salvador. Okay, good job, Kyle. When the war started, it started in the small villages first. We are from, and I can't pronounce it anyway, so it won't matter. So that might have been the part he didn't want me to share. My father was studying to be a dentist when the government shut down all public schooling. Being poor, my dad had to return to his small town where he got my mom pregnant, and my grandfather, being the most trusted man in the village, was the judge. Things get blurry here as my dad doesn't speak too much about this. My grandfather was dying of cancer, so my aunt was appointed as judge. During this time, the Cold War was hot. USA supplied El Salvador with a lot of aid to keep them as allies. There was a small rumbling of revolution led by the communists, but we're just common folk trying to get freedom from a police state. There were soldiers instead of police. If people thought the U.S. police were crooked, they haven't seen anything yet, and I believe it.
Yeah.
The police force, like I've heard in Mexico and what have you, and I guess south of the border in general, it's, yeah. Jealous for many years, and now more so, a few towns people accuse my family of being communists. The government had, Escuadron de la Muerte, which would pull people's families out of their homes and execute them in the middle of the night.
Oh,
scary.
My goodness.
My dad, who just had a son with my mom, older brother, had his own business trying to get by. The guerrillas caught my dad, sat him down in front of a table with a gun and a list of people. The list had crossed out names. We took this from the government offices. Your family is on the list. Choose, fight, or die. My dad, having medical training and having a brilliant mind, rose very quickly in rank and had his own unit. Even though my parents weren't married, they knew my dad fathered my brother, and on the second time, they accosted my mother, pointing guns in her face. My dad brought us to the U.S. My mother was pregnant, and they were living under the freeway just a mile from where I grew up. Can you imagine?
No. Wow.
My dad was supposed to go back and finish fighting, but he was labeled a deserter. He had a family to look after now. To this day, he suffers from PTSD. Oh, of course. He see it in his eyes, in the blank stare he sometimes gives. So many times, as he retold stories, he stops himself to say, I'm not going to tell you I killed anyone. I'm just going to say I fired my gun. Yet he's told me so many times how he gave the order to give gas to certain people in a story he's retelling of an ambush in the town. My dad knows how to survive in the jungle, in a town, and in the city with nothing. He lived off that ability for many years. I remember having to save him one time. He got into trouble and couldn't get out of it. He cried when he realized he didn't have that ability anymore. He was 60. He had started a fight with gangsters, and he never cries.
Wow.
That's it.
Thank you, Hector, for sharing that. That's, oh man,
yeah.
It is like that's quite a story.
Well, and though this is very personal to Hector and his family, it's probably not unique.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, not just in South America countries, but just around the world, the war-torn countries that we have in the world, and families being torn apart and, threatened by force to do things they wouldn't do. Can you imagine? Like, his dad probably just maybe wanted to be a doctor or help with the health world, or because he said he had medical training, or, or be a teacher.
Be a dentist.
Yeah.
I thought, something like that.
So it's like, that's all he wanted to do. Like, what? People are such... I hate this world sometimes.
Oh, I know. You don't even really want to get me started because I'm
Okay,
like, oh,
I
humans, we're
know,
just the worst.
I know. Well, you did the right
Anyway,
thing. You did the right thing by raising two dogs.
yeah, yeah,
Though you could argue, people like me and Kyle, who you know, I think we're doing a pretty good job as parents. There, and I know Hector's doing a wonderful job as a father. So
yeah.
there are,
That's a good point.
yeah,
It is a good point. It does. Yeah, often sometimes people who choose not to have kids, some will argue that they actually, uh, because they're really read in,
right,
that they should maybe that they would be good at it, but then there's people who maybe don't take it super seriously or I don't know. So but there I do need to be reminded that there are people like you and Kyle and a few others that I know that are just truly amazing at like raising good humans.
I try.
No,
And I know Kyle does,
yeah,
and I know Hector does. So there's three. There's three fathers
there you go. Yeah,
who are trying their best. So thank you, Hector. And again, just to make sure, I am going to message him again before this hits the podcast feed to make sure he's okay with that, because it's a very personal and powerful account of his father. And we wish, of course, Hector's family and everyone that suffered during those El Salvador years. I hope there's peace now for people. My history is ignorant, so I don't know if there is or isn't. So, all right, well, let's get to the fun stuff, shall we? All right, so we got some emails from our listeners as well.
we
And
do.
you got that ready to go?
Yes. So the first one is from Greg the First. And this is for Creed episodes 10 and 11.
Okay.
Ryan, Kyle, and Katie, I just finished up episode 11 yesterday and wanted to add my 2 cents on a few things from the last couple of episodes. I really enjoyed your discussions, although I am one of your listeners that feels like you occasionally nitpick this movie too much.
Okay, stop. Yeah, I want to. There's a couple of things I want to comment on while you're reading. So yeah, when I read that, I did feel like he's right, and I think I actually have asked myself, why is that? Why do we do that? Because I've caught myself doing it, especially when I go back and edit. Because sometimes the conversation will just be natural. Like, believe it or not, dear listeners, we don't do any prep work for this show. So, when the reason for that is, it's not because we don't care or anything like that. It's just I want the conversation to be natural, not scripted. I don't want Kyle or Katie. Okay, when we get to this part of the film, I want to make sure you say this. But no, just what's on your mind. How did this make you feel? It's basically like we're reacting in a way, like a reaction video to the scenes as we see them. And I think part of the nitpicking is well, we just actually on our Facebook feed I shared that
There's like a
ranking,
ranking.
and it was by basically Rotten Tomato. So the Rotten Tomato critics, top critics around the world, ranked by their rankings, the films were ranked. If that makes sense, so by their fresh rating, the films were ranked, and Creed was number one.
That blows my mind. But
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's unsatisfactory as a Rocky fanatic. So, and people can argue, well, it was just a very good film. It was a film's film, like it was a critic's darling, and I don't want to get into any of the cultural, like appropriations that may or not been lofted at the film. But it is a great film on its own. I think if you were to watch that film outside of the Rocky universe, just to watch it as a film, maybe the rating is very valid. But I'm watching it as a Rocky film, and I guess that's part of the juxtaposition I even have is like Rocky is in the movie. Is it a Rocky film? Is it Rocky 7? What is this? Anyways, so I think the nitpicking comes from I'm being a little bit nitpicky on it because put it this way, with Rocky 5, I did the flip. I did the opposite. Rocky 5 is an easy film to pick on, and I didn't. So to be fair to Greg the First and to other listeners, or to be fair to myself, to the critics of my criticizing Creed, is that I gave Rocky 5 a lot of praise. And I give it a lot of like, hey, there's a lot of good stuff to find here. And I guess what I'm doing with Creed is like, maybe I'm doing the opposite because we'll get it.
Yeah.
We'll get what it's
Yeah.
good at.
Yep.
So maybe I'm flipping it, saying, hey, this is where it's not good. And maybe it doesn't deserve all the praise it's getting. The same way I say with Rocky 5, maybe it doesn't deserve all the crap it gets. So how's that for a fair argument back?
Yeah, and he even says, Greg even says, like in parentheses, more so than you did with the like that we're nitpicking it more so than you did with the original franchise. And my argument to that would be because we're comparing it to the
Mm,
original franchise, we don't feel, or I don't feel that it measures up. Like it's just, well, the opinions are opinions, but
sure.
like especially compared to like Rocky 1, I think it's really hard to find someone who doesn't think that that is like near perfection.
Right.
And so we're comparing this to those. And so I, for one, just don't think it measures up. There are a lot of great things about it,
Oh yeah.
but I just think what probably ruins it for me is the lack of chemistry between Bianca and Adonis.
I think that's been the biggest
It's not
nitpick.
there.
I don't think
Yeah.
we've criticized Stallone's performances, his dialogue. We even talk about, as we talk about the film as it's progressed, how much the Creed or Adonis has become more likable, and I think that becomes even more so with part two. So
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
a lot of our nitpicking, I think lately though, has been more just at the kind of ham-fisted dialogue between Bianca. Again, I think the biggest problem is Bianca and Adonis's relationship.
Yeah, because like Adonis and Rocky's relationship is really growing on us. But the yeah, yep, you're right. Um, yeah. So then he just says, and I think that that was apparent in episode 11. So we must have really come down hard
Oh, maybe we did, yeah.
in episode 11. But I do not want to focus on that. I would rather say thank you again for reading seamlessly all of my emails during the show. I never have any expectations that you will read them on air. I'm just glad that you read them at all.
Oh, of course, Greg.
And
You're our
yeah,
yeah,
he's got good insights always.
always.
And I always worry that reading my emails will bore most of your other listeners.
Who
That
cares?
being
Who cares
said,
about our listeners? We don't.
that being said, I very much enjoyed your continued cemetery talk in episode 11 and the tangents that it led to. I do remember that we really got off topic on that one. So,
Yeah, right.
um, so Greg the first didn't mind that.
Okay.
In episode 10, I thought Ryan and Katie did a wonderful job breaking down the one take fight scene and pointing out the areas where the cuts likely were made. I don't think the people who made the movie ever promoted that scene as being done in a single take, but I do believe that was something mentioned in virtually all of the reviews of the film when it came out in 2005. Just really quickly, this is Katie talking, not Greg. I thought of this because I think that I recently read something that it was actually the first fight in Mexico that was supposedly a one take camera shot,
Hmm.
and maybe not the Sperino fight.
I think. Well, maybe the Mexico one was very short.
Yeah,
But if the second fight, the one that we thought was a one shot, wasn't, they sure made it very, very darn close to feeling like it was. So
yeah.
maybe that was the nitpicking or looking too closely to something that was never. It seems to be that people talked about it afterwards, just like Greg is saying. So maybe it was unintentional that the filmmakers thought we would think that that was a single take fight. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
So then Greg goes on to say, just making it look like a single take was impressive. And I like it at any time that these movies bring something different to the fight scenes from what we have seen previously. There's actually a later scene that is also done in a single take or is made to look that way that I think is even more impressive. Spoiler, it's Adonis's walk from the locker room to the arena and out into the ring for the Conlon fight.
All right.
So that should be, yeah, yeah. I like that. I like that scene. So I look forward to when you get to that in a later episode. You ended up you ended episode 11 with a scene from PTI. Pardon the interruption. Oh, is that the name of the sports?
Yes, I think so.
Okay,
The round table sports
got
discussion
it.
guys. Yeah.
I didn't. Okay,
I didn't know that either.
which
Yeah.
yeah, which is the Talking Head style sports show segment. I just read his email, which is the Talking Head style sports show segment where they debate Apollo's legacy. I'm not sure if PTI airs in Canada, but PTI is a very popular daytime sports show in the US that
Hmm.
has been on air for nearly 20 years. I've never seen it, but I'm not a big sports fan.
No, it's not. It's
Um,
not Canada that I've heard of. No.
the two hosts are former Washington Post sports writers who used to argue slash debate all the time in the newsroom, and that became the inspiration for the show.
Okay.
Over the years, yeah, over the years, they have used all types of props during the show and also been sent numerous trinkets, bobbleheads, and other items over the years by sports teams, viewers, and fans. Those are the items that you see in the background of the set, including the leg lamp from A Christmas Story, which Katie noticed right away. This article is from 2013, but it details the 12 coolest props they have on set. And the first item listed is that lamp.
Oh, there you go.
That's
Good
probably
catch.
more. Yeah, well, I wondered. I was like, what does that have to do with anything? um, so Greg says that's probably more information than you ever wanted to know about PTI, but I guess that's why I'm here. And then he links to that article of the 12 coolest things you'll find on the PTI set,
Okay.
ESPN Front Row. Thank you again for continuing to read these emails. Stay safe and happy podcasting, Greg the First.
We need to hire Greg as our research, because some professional podcasts actually have a research team.
Oh, of course they do.
Well,
Yeah.
they can afford it. But basically, he's doing it anyway. So I'm not
volunteering his
Yeah,
time.
he's volunteering his time. So thank you, Greg. Great email, and thank you for letting us discuss it. And I hope our listeners don't mind that too. We always say, I think by this time, listeners kind of know if they don't like the email segment, they can just skip the 30 seconds till they get to the film discussion. But I think the emails are good. All right, what's the next one?
I do too. The next one's from David Burrell. Hey, Ryan, Kyle, and Katie. Hope you're all doing well in these strange times. Katie, really enjoying the episodes you've been on, so keep up the good work. You bring a great new dynamic to the podcast. So the question posed about whether Tony knew about Adonis from Mary Ann. The subject of this is the Adonis knowledge question. I forgot to insert. Says, now I don't know the Creed movies as well as the Rocky movies, but did Apollo know about Adonis?
Okay, stop. So I'm going to answer that question with my opinion that he didn't know a woman was pregnant, because I think if you're to do I think whoever was pregnant with Adonis was literally pregnant during his death. And so, like, early stages, because if you were to push the timeline exactly to how old Adonis is as a character in 2015, he was literally born just months after the death of Apollo. So the woman who raised Adonis, or abandoned Adonis, or whatever you want to call it, at one point, he was abandoned by his mother. You could almost maybe... Crash, let me start again. So, no, I don't think Apollo knew. I think that makes everything that happened in that film more believable, that if you're to retcon, the events of Rocky 4, of course, we talked before, the Rocky 4 was filmed and Rocky 6 was filmed without the knowledge that Creed would ever exist as a storyline. We understand that. But you can go back and watch Rocky 4 with the knowledge of the Creed film, saying, okay, well, Apollo's acting like Apollo because even though he stepped out on his marriage, at this moment in time, he didn't know that anyone was pregnant because of it. Then his behavior wouldn't change that much.
That totally makes sense. I think that it's reasonable that if a woman was at least 3 months into her pregnancy, that there's a likelihood that she would have notified who she believed to be the father. But I think that your point makes more sense in that even if she was already 6, 7, 8 months pregnant, that for the story to work and for us to be okay with it, that Apollo didn't know.
Right. All right. Oops, sorry, I muted my microphone. Okay.
Yeah.
That I agree. So what else? By the way, Dave was a one-time guest on the podcast, so shout out to Dave's episode. Go check it out. It's interview with Dave Burrell. He's you heard it, but it was like probably episode I don't know, between 35 and 50. So in the first third of this series. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So he goes on to say, if he did, I think it more likely that Apollo definitely would have told Tony. Cast your mind back to the speech Tony had with Rocky in Rocky 4. Apollo was like my son. I raised him.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that.
Yeah.
If that were the case, and I have no reason to doubt that they were, I think it even more likely that Apollo would have told his father figure. That's a good point.
Yes, that's why I think Apollo didn't know.
Yeah.
I don't think he knew.
Yeah, I think that Dave is agreeing with you. So my belief is Tony did know. So my belief is Tony did know, but chose to keep the secret in respect for Apollo. What do you think? Keep punching, guys, Dave. So he's saying that he thinks Apollo knew and told Tony, but that Tony was like a father to him, and so he kept it a secret. And Ryan, you're saying that you think he probably didn't know.
Yeah.
Therefore, there was nothing to tell Tony.
Yeah, so I think Marianne, of course, knew. Apollo died not knowing. And Marianne. Oh, but that was. But the. Yeah, so again, the problem is Tony must have known regardless because there's this kid running around. Like, who did Marianne adopt here? So maybe Marianne could have theoretically never told Tony that this kid. Because remember, Tony's kid and Adonis grew up together.
Good
So
point.
maybe Marianne just
It's
never told that this was Apollo's kid. That could be very
well, or Marianne told him, but he was still keeping the secret because
Yeah.
he was so close to the family. Like,
I know this is all over the place. So I think the simplest
Yeah.
thing is my theory is Apollo died not knowing. Marianne told Tony, and Tony promised Marianne not to tell Rocky.
yeah, that makes sense. We're gonna go with that.
Yeah.
The next is from Doug Greenberg.
Oh, Doug. Doug, the host, the co-host, or one of the two hosts of the Rocky Minute podcast. Yeah, absolutely. On the Stallone Podcast fan network, whatever we call our show, feed.
So his subject is Katie, Katie, Katie.
Oh,
You
wow.
have to, you like meaning like he's like,
I know.
God dang it, girl.
Yeah, I know.
He's like, you have to stop laughing at Ryan's bad jokes. It just encourages him to keep going. Love
Yeah.
you guys, Doug.
Yeah. Thanks, Doug. We love you too. We loves you too. Hey,
Aw.
Katie will stop laughing when I stop being funny. That's the way it goes.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
All right, thanks, Doug.
Okay.
And check out the Rocky Minute. If you guys are listening to this show and you don't listen to the Rocky Minute, shame on you. Check them out.
It's a nice, the way that I think about it is that we're already in Creed, but he's only, well, I'm only on Rocky Minute 2, because I think they've been re-released in
Yeah.
this new feed.
Yeah.
But I'm loving it for that reason. Like, I get to relive the earlier movies, like in a podcast.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
Doug's awesome. And of course, Craig Slycast, he's awesome. They're all awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We're all awesome. Everyone's awesome on this feed.
Actually, to that point, let me just give a quick shout out to my chiropractor.
Yes.
Dr. Paul Bivrell in Louisville, Colorado. He is, I just saw him today, and last time I saw him, I was mentioning that this was a new thing for me, that I'm like co-hosting with you guys on this Rocky podcast. And he was like, oh, I'll have to check it out, because he's like, he's an early adopter to podcasts. So he has developed he's like a connoisseur, so to
Sure.
speak, of podcasts. Therefore, I believe his bar to be pretty high. And he told me today that he's been listening and he thinks it's really, really good. So coming from a connoisseur, I think that we're going to take that as a big compliment. So thank you, Paul Bivrell.
All right.
And he's a great chiropractor in Louisville.
Is he gentle? Sorry.
Oh.
So I'm terrible. I don't know this guy. He's gonna get like malpractice suits now. He's like, Katie's like, no, he's rough.
No, he's very good.
You don't have to say what are you getting worked on? Like, what's hurting?
Oh, I was in a car accident like 4.5 years ago, and so I had my body's a mess.
That explains that explains the disfigured face. Go on.
I have like cervical spine issues,
Oh,
lumbar spine issues, hip issues, shoulder issues. I'm just a mess. So
that's all the drinking, so it drowns the pain.
actually, God, we're getting very off track. But I'm drinking the Four Roses
Oh
bourbon.
yes,
That's what I'm drinking.
that's not off
today.
track at all. That's what Paulie drinks.
Yeah.
Or one of the many drinks that he drinks.
Yes, yes. So that's what I'm drinking. Cheers, everyone.
All right, cheers.
Pour a little liquor for Polly.
Awesome. All right, was that all the emails? Is that all of them?
No, there's one more. Sorry.
Yeah, yes.
There's
No,
one more.
don't apologize. No, good.
This one is from Donald Bishop.
Yes.
And the subject is Creed thoughts so far. Dear Ryan, Kyle, and Katie, loving your Creed coverage so far, especially your analysis of Donnie Bianca scenes. Oh, so he must agree with us. Hollywood too often makes dating look easy. I loved Rocky and Adrian because they felt real. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Rocky wasn't the smooth guy saying all the right things, nor did he have the perfect first date, to say the least.
Right.
The first Donnie Bianca meeting gave me the same feeling, with the normally confident Adonis off his game and awkwardly shoehorning in how he works out.
Mm.
But as you've said, most scenes after that felt scripted by a writer. I don't think that they'll
Mm.
ever feel the same way about the Creeds as I don't think I'll ever feel the same way about the Creeds as I did about the Balboas.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, speaking as someone with a disability, I can confirm that Bianca absolutely would have apologized to Donnie and cited her hearing loss right away in real life in that first apartment scene.
Yeah, that. Yeah, that's a. If she was a guy, we'd say that's a dick move on her part. But because she's a girl, I won't say the other words. So, because I'm just too. I just can't say that about a girl. So, but yeah, she should have said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I have a hearing problem. Because I'm not a jerk. My music was loud, so I could hear it. It's an easy. That's a normal. So, but that's the problem. It's like." She's like, no, I'm gonna play my music loud because I'm a jerky neighbor. So it's like, oh, am I supposed to like her? Like, I don't understand. Like,
I know, it's because it's like you don't live in a single family dwelling. You live in a building with many other people.
yeah,
So
it's
you
just
have
rude.
to know. Yeah, it is just rude.
It's like, sorry that I tap dance. I'm a tap dancer, so you just have to hear it. It's like, okay, like, I know it's the nature of flats and stuff and apartments, but part of me is just kind of like, I would at least apologize. That's the nice human way to be. So again, as a moviegoer, and I'm watching this as a character, Adrian wouldn't have done that.
No.
Adrian would have said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize my music was so loud. I do have a hearing problem, so sometimes my music gets louder. I should just turn up my hearing aid. No big deal." Oh, okay. No problem. And then Adonis would have been off his guard. He'd be like, "Oh, sure, no problem. Hey, do you mind? Want to go for coffee or something?" They're like, anyways. But it's
it
like,
would have been a smoother, yeah.
but no,
yeah.
I'm going to slam the door in your face and then turn up the music. And then me as a viewer, I'm going, oh, she's great. I sure like her.
Yeah. She's so endearing.
She's so endearing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because she's hot. If she's hot, we can, I guess. It's funny.
well-
Imagine if she was 300 pounds, Adonis would never knock on her door again.
It's a good point. Good-looking people get away with more.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I've never had a speeding ticket.
Have you really never had a speeding ticket?
That's untrue. I've had 3. So, yeah.
Okay.
But to be fair, it's always been straight male that's pulled me over. So I'm waiting for that first female cop so I can put on my charm. But
I think I've even gotten a speeding ticket from a straight man. I mean, meaning there's this like
Sure.
idea that women can get off.
I know.
But I don't know. Anyway.
I think it's just in the movies. I think it might.
Yeah.
I think we see too many movies, and not the ones online. Okay, so yeah.
So Donald goes on to say, I was so happy when you got to the scene involving Sage's picture. I always cite that scene as the reason Sly deserved the Oscar for Creed.
Yes.
Great, really good.
Yes.
So hopefully, before our boy is done, he will get some kind of lifetime achievement award. Oh,
Yeah.
here's hoping.
I don't know.
Oh no.
I don't know.
Until then, keep up the great Sly coverage along with the other Stallone podcasters. P.S. Regarding the Creed musical intro joke, Creed the band had several hits. If you won't change the joke, would you at least consider changing the song? What if and One are way better than With Arms Wide Open? I'm not really familiar with Creed the band all that well.
Well, I don't. Yeah, nothing ruins a joke more than having to explain it. So, in theory, every podcast has intro music, right? And they don't change the intro music for every episode. Usually, it's the same. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and it's the same intro music for episodes. I like for hundreds of episodes. So the joke for this season is the intro music is that 25 segment part of that song, but I take that same segment from different cover versions of the same song. So it's the same segment, different singer every week. So it won't change because that is the joke. It's the same. It's the same intro song every episode, but you as the listener gets to listen to. I wonder what next week's will sound like. The same 25 segments from the same song. Because that is, quote unquote, the intro song. But I will say that, yes, Creed 2, which will be season 8 of the show, there will be another Creed song. And that, really? Yes, that.
Oh,
so
okay.
that's spoiler. So Creed, I already decided that Creed or season 2 or whatever you want to call it, or season 8 of the feed, yes, it will have, but it'll be the same song for every episode of that season. Okay, but I'll leave it
Okay.
at that.
So he ends with keep punching Dawn.
Awesome.
On the, just really quickly, I just wanted to comment, like, I don't know, big shocker, but like, I do hope that Sly gets recognized in some way for his achievement. But also, it's getting really hard because he's getting older.
I know.
Like
Yeah.
he's like, so he and Betty White, I think, is turning 99 pretty soon. So she and Sylvester Stallone and like a handful of others, Robert De Niro and a couple of others, are like a few of the famous people that I will literally cry when they die.
Yeah.
Like
I
it's
know.
very few and far between. I don't know about you, but
Oh, probably Eddie Van Halen is a musical artist that I have enjoyed since I was 8 years old, and I'm now 45. And so when he passed this year in 2020, I did cry. Not bawled, but the tears, the feeling of the real emotion of a celebrity loss, because it was somebody, and I hate it when people. I don't celebrate or I don't honor every celebrity's death any more than I would if it was my next door neighbor, meaning like, or somebody down the road. Because if they, just because they're famous, everyone dies. I'm going to die.
Right.
We're all going to die. But what I'm getting is some artists with their work has moved me. And Van Halen music I love rock and roll, and Van Halen music has caused me great joy for decades. And so when I found out that the person behind that can no longer give me more new stuff or anything, or see him live, or it's like, oh my, it's something that's brought me joy will now come to an end. So I would assume Stallone will bring the same, because I've been a fan of his films as a critic and a fan since I was 8 years old again. So it's going to be and he's no spring chicken. He's 74 now.
Yeah. Yep.
So all right, well, here we go. We're now going to roll into, is that it?
Yes.
Oh, wait, we forgot about Twitter. This will take 1 second. It'll be edited for our audio, but our poor Patreon people. Because I think you got some new ones.
Did I? Gosh, I'm the worst.
No, don't even worry about it. This is partly not a joke, but it's just a bit.
I know, yeah.
Let's see who you got here. Well, we'll do Kyle first. I don't know if he's got anyone new lately. No, he hasn't. Kyle, I'm sorry. Nobody new for Kyle. I'd like to thank all those who joined the Rocky podcast feed lately. Thank you very much. And let's go to Katie. Have you got anyone new?
Oh, there are some that I don't recognize that seem to be new.
It's always because you're a girl. People join the girls. It's true.
I think, but it's all, I'm pretty sure they're all having, like, it's because they're Stallone fans.
I'm sure. Okay, so we got Keith Sessions. He's new, I think. He follows the show. He definitely follows the Rocky podcast. I don't know if I don't know. Keith, let us know. Do you listen to the show? If you don't respond to this question, that means you don't. Let us know on Twitter. I think he does. Then you got Anne Sharon Green. Mm-hmm. You know her? Oh, she's a Rocky fan. They're right there.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
She goes, I'm a married mom of my wonderful son. I'm a married mom of my wonderful son. She might want to change the grammar on that, I think. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm just reading this live. I apologize. Okay, I'm a married mom to my wonderful son. I think that's what she meant to write. My wonderful son. My son is on my cover photo with me. Well, that's very sweet. I'm also a huge lifelong Stallone fan, Rocky fan. I love him. He's the best legend ever. We could not agree more. And so thank you for following Katie. I don't know if she follows the show or listens to it. So, and then we've got Jason Bradon.
He's a Rocky fan.
Is he?
Yeah, like he's got a post about it.
Okay. So here we go. He's 49 years old and single is his bio. So, Katie, do you date older men or?
Oh gosh, that's a long story, but generally speaking, yes. I have a long history of it, but
Chesterfield, England might be a little bit far for you.
Perhaps, yeah. I have had some like sadly far away long distance relationships. I'm kind of a mess. Like big shocker that I'm single, but I'm very specific. Like I have a very specific type, and I guess I don't want it that bad. Therefore, I don't like seek it out.
That's
Like
fair.
a relationship. I'm like, that's too much headache, you know.
For those who don't know what Katie looks like, I assure you there's a reason why she's single. Okay, so so
Oh, that's funny though. This just made me think of I think it was like last weekend. So I've been trying to watch like critically acclaimed like old
okay.
movies. So I don't know if you or any of the listeners have seen Chinatown.
Yes, yes. It's been a while, but I had that same phase of I've always been an avid moviegoer. So even when I was a teenager, 17 to 19, I got into that watching older, just like that. I got into the older critically acclaimed films, and I definitely watched that. But it's been 20 odd years since I've done so. But yeah.
The reason I thought of it is because of the weird grammar play on like son mom
Oh, okay.
because like oh what's her name
Farrah Fawcett.
Faye
Oh,
no
Faye
Faye
Dunaway.
Dunaway
Faye Dunaway. So yeah,
Faye Dunaway's character and
Jack Nicholson.
John Huston
Oh, right.
plays her dad in the movie, and as it turns out, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, she has a child that is her father's. So it's both her sister and her daughter.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So
Very
that happens.
very Games of Thrones.
It's. But to bring it back to Rocky, Burt Young is also in the movie. And
That's right. That's right.
yeah,
That's funny.
he plays a very similar like Polly-esque
Sure.
character.
Well, you play what you know. I mean, like Stallone in most films is very Stallone-y. You know, I think it's just easier for an actor to kind of play the type.
Yeah.
Will Ferrell, you know, even Robert Downey Jr. He's always just very Robert Downey Jr.-y in everything he does.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so now we're rolling to the film. Well, there you go. It seemed like a lot of emails, but again, that's about right. 40 minutes. 40 minutes, and now we're into the film. So here we go. We're now at a scene where Adonis is walking on the street, and he's gonna go meet Rocky in the kind of where the kitchen is, basement part kitchen of the restaurant.
Hey, Unc, you down there?
Yeah.
I know you don't want me to do this, right?
I can think of better things to do, man.
But if we did do it, how we get it done?
All right, so again, just to refresh some of our people who might have forgotten the last episode, they took the fight. Well, they talked about taking the fight with the champion.
Conlon.
Thank you. Pretty boy Ricky Conlon in England. And, of course, now Adonis is like, maybe a day has passed or they're thinking about the offer. And so he asks the obvious question to Rocky, you don't really want me to do this, do you? And Rocky's like, well. And then Adonis is like, what do we have to do to win this thing or to make a show of this? So now Rocky's thinking.
And he has the glasses on for the women viewers who appreciate him in his glasses.
Yeah, he looks great.
Well, he's taller than you. He has a reach on you. Definitely has a lot more experience than you. And he's faster than you are. Like he's the champion. And since he's the champion, you got to bring the fight to him like I did. You got to go to the body, dig. And in doing that, you're in a very dangerous place because you can get laid out.
Now, this is very interesting. What is this very reminiscent of to you?
When Mickey tries to convince Rocky that he could get seriously injured.
Yeah, there's that. And I didn't even think of that. So, yes, absolutely. He's channeling the Mickey. When Tony talked to Rocky before the training of Rocky Balboa, you know,
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
you don't have speed, you don't have this. This is what you're gonna need to do. So he's kind of doing the same thing.
Yep.
Like you don't have what the champ has. So I like what Rock and Kyle mentioned this great point last episode where he said that Rocky in this movie, for whatever reason, and maybe he's always been this way, but as he's gotten older and wiser, uh, he's making no bones about it that there's he's not lying. He's just saying, look, this is the champion. He's faster than you. He's got more experience than you. He's got a longer reach than you. He's taller than you. So to beat this guy, you're just going to bring the fight to him. You're just going to have to and it goes like I did with Apollo, your dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just going to come in, just like Tony says, he kept coming after you. And
Mm.
that you remember that? So that's
Mm-hmm.
what he's telling Adonis is you got to just get in this guy's face, take the pain, take the hits because you're gonna keep bringing the fight to him. You're just gonna like, why won't this guy leave me alone? Type
Mm.
approach.
Good thoughts.
Yeah. Can you believe this is no prep work?
It's amazing.
Oh, stop it!
Um,
I'm just joking.
no, also like what I like about, again, this is a Philadelphia thing, but like old cities, like this setup where the kitchen is in the basement and from the street, the access to it is like there's like uh not to code like stairs and like a slide to put
Food down or
uh
whatever. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
supplies down.
I never caught that. Yeah, there's like a slide. Yeah, the boxes come. You slide it down to the guy that catches it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Oh, good
But
catch.
like you don't see that. What it's I like it because it's like we don't have that to my knowledge, like in Denver. Like it's only in really old cities, seemingly.
Mm,
So again, it's just a Philadelphia thing. Like it's a nice little charm.
that's a great catch. Yeah, I would never notice that little slide there to drop the boxes down.
It ain't easy for me to be in your corner, kid. I don't know if you're ready for it. I don't know if I'm ready for it. But I'll do what you want to do.
If it was anybody else in my corner, I wouldn't do it. But I got you. So make the call.
All right.
So it's interesting. He says, if it wasn't anyone else in my corner, I wouldn't do it. And it's a bit of like that Mickey Rocky relationship where they both need each other.
And Rocky seems so touched by it. It just makes him. I'm so in. Like honestly, he could really do no wrong, in my opinion, at this point. But I was curious whether that was actually true or if Adonis is just
I believe it. I think this is where and
saying
you
it.
hear the musical cue. It sounds sincere. This is Adonis truly now not looking at Rocky as an opportunity, but looking at him as a mentor.
But do you think he would? Don't you think he'd probably still take the fight if somebody else were training him? Or do you truly think he would say no to the an opportunity at the title?
Good question. My only response to that hypothetical in a fake universe is he only got this offer because Rocky's in his corner.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's an almost, I would say it's not an irrelevant question, but it's a question he would never have to deal with because had he never known Rocky or had Rocky in his corner, the promotion, because remember the guy said the only way this is going to be a fight is if you take the name Creed.
Right, right. Yeah. And he got there because of Rocky's name, sort
right,
of.
yeah.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, maybe I don't, maybe money talks, but I feel like in this moment he meant what he said at that time, anyways.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Fighting Ricky Conlon.
Now he's excited, of course, yeah, but he can't believe it.
I'm fighting pretty Ricky Conlon!
Stealing himself. So now we're cutting to some early training here in the ring. Rocky's got the what do you call those, hip pads up or whatever? What are those things called?
Punch pads?
Punch
Something
pad.
like
There
that.
must be a name for it.
Well, I think it's like there's two names for them. I think it's like punch pads or something mitts or just something mitts or punch pads, something like that. I don't know. Where are all of our boxers? They need to tell us.
No, I think well,
School us.
I just googled punch pads and they came up, or boxing pads, and that's what they have. So boxing pads, yep. Good job. So then the ring, so Rocky's holding him up, and Adonis is sparring with him, and some of the corner men are coming in to take a watch.
He's still a puppy, I think. Watch. This. Close the distance. That's it.
Yeah. 1, 2.
Good.
And so Rocky is wearing almost like a body vest or a body protector. So Adonis obviously isn't hitting with full force, but you can kind of hit the sparring partner, give a little bit of a punch without cracking, of course, the ribs of the trainer.
Well, this is actually interesting because not so many scenes ago, Rocky was telling Adonis, like when he was training for the Spirino fight, it was that pad man guy in the corner. I think like the proprietor of the Front Street gym.
Right.
And Rocky was saying, I can't do that. I can't hold the pads anymore. So
Interesting.
now he is.
Yeah. So now he's doing it a short time later, and you could argue if, unbeknownst to him, he's fighting cancer. So maybe it's a day. I don't know a lot of, like, I've been around cancer in my life with family, and but I haven't been intimate with it. I've just seen, unfortunately, the results of it. But I would assume some days are better than others.
True.
Yeah.
But he doesn't actually know yet.
No, but I mean, that's what I mean.
At
So
this
maybe
point.
when he was telling
Yeah.
him, like, I can't do that anymore. But yeah, it seemed like he was more tired during that sequence than he is now. Yeah, for sure. That's a good catch for continuity, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess at that time I thought he was just saying anymore, meaning I'm freaking 70 or however old he's supposed to be in this
69, I
movie.
think, or-
69. Either way, he's old to
Yeah.
be doing that. So anyway,
Okay, but yeah, maybe this is just a very short time in the ring. Maybe it's just
Yeah.
more of an intimate training, but there's people that are going to do more stuff
the
outside of
hardcore
what.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. Body.
You see his shirt?
Why do you want to fight? Because I can't sing or dance. I love it.
Now, okay, but we talked about this. This is another reference to the movie, right? See, this is like an Easter egg for Rocky fanatics, but is this an Easter egg for Rocky's life? Like, he said this to Adrian on their first date in 1976. Why would that be on the back of a shirt? Now, you could argue, of course, that's something Rocky has said his whole life. When people have asked him his whole life, hey, Rocky, why do you fight? Oh, because I can't sing or dance. And so he's always said that to anyone, the bus driver, the bartender, Adrian on the
Yeah.
first date. So that's been his quip that he's used throughout his life. And so maybe there was a time during their short time together that Rocky has told Adonis, or Adonis asked Rocky, hey, why did you start fighting? And Adonis liked it, and then he puts it on the back of a shirt. Now, that's a logical chain of events, but we know that shirt was literally made because that line was used in the movie, and now we're seeing it as Rocky fanatics. So this is a nod to the Rocky franchise, plain and simple.
It is, and I'm pretty sure that like the whole team, the whole crew has like we'll see. I'm pretty sure there's a scene later where we see them all wearing it.
So my question is, does that take you out of the film? As because this is a continuity of the Rocky character's world, so to speak. With this is Creed's son, and it's like when you see that as a fan, it's like it'd be like watching Star Wars, and let's say you're at a cantina in part, with the new trilogy. They're in a cantina, and on the wall is written, "No, Vader is Luke's father." Like, it's a famous line, like even though that's true, and that the universe might find this is what happened, but it's kind of like, why is that on? Why, like, what, like, it's a nod to Star Wars or whatever. I'm just trying to think of something like that. I don't know, like.
It's like because you've brought up like, so has Adonis seen Rocky 1? Like because there were some things brought up, and so it is a weird thing, and I think we're probably overthinking it to some degree. It is just like it makes us happy.
Yeah,
but
I know.
you could probably rationalize, as you did, how it could have happened, and it just wasn't
Right.
shown to us.
No, that's just it. We see the shirt. It's an obvious. That's what they're showing us, the audience. We all get a chuckle. Hey, that was what he said to Adrian in Rocky 1, huh? Anyways, again, the Creed, The Force Awakens. That's what I call this film. And there's another evidence of that right here. Because if people don't know what I'm talking about, Star Wars 8, or sorry, whatever, 7, Part 7, which ironically, this is Rocky Part 7. But Star Wars The Force Awakens, a lot of people criticize that movie as just being a rehash of A New Hope, the original Star Wars film. So that's my
Okay.
joke when I say Creed A Force Awakens, because
Got it.
it's got a lot of the same beats of Rocky,
Yep. Yep.
which I guess is another, I guess that's the nitpicking. Say what you want about Rocky 5, it's a very original storyline compared to the other Rockies.
Very much so. Yeah.
Okay.
Dig. Body. Good.
Moving around?
Take a break.
Okay, so now here we're seeing. So we just talked about continuity, but now we are seeing that Rocky is a very winded. He looks almost nauseous, or you could say, well, I shouldn't use that word.
Dizzy
because-
or something.
Dizzy, yeah. And
Yeah.
Adonis looks concerned. He's like, okay, I know he's older, but he looks really beat here after that sparring session.
Hey, you all right? You okay?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Okay. Just let me walk. I'm good. Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know. Come on. Just let me walk.
Nah, we gotta call somebody and get you to the doctor, okay?
Okay.
Here, come on. Off the rope. Come on. I got you. Hey, Stitch!
I'm sorry.
No. What?
No, I'm here.
Hey, somebody help!
All right, so wow, as a viewer, if we just seen Rocky get winded, we just seen him throw up, we've seen him collapse, and he can't walk on his own.
And he even doesn't fight. Like it shows us when Rocky doesn't fight. When Adonis says, "We got to get you to a doctor," he says, "Okay." Like he doesn't fight it, meaning he must really be in bad shape for him to not like say, "No, I'm fine." As right? Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was taking the help from Adonis, but being that typical age of man, too, he apologized. And we do that as humans in general. We're like, I'm sorry that I'm dying. Like I've put you out, even though
Yeah.
my bad. No, and anyways, so the next scene here, of course, is at the hospital. Rocky's unconscious, or resting, I should say, at the hospital bed here, and Adonis is at the bedside. This still was shown in the trailer, I think.
Oh, was it?
I think. I'd have to go back and watch it because I think this was a lot of people saw this and they're Rocky's gonna die. Rocky's gonna die.
They did that on purpose. They put
Yes.
it in the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to admit, obviously, before I saw Creed Part 1, I was like, they're not going to kill. And I remember when I saw this on opening night because I didn't want to hear any early spoilers. Because I went into the theater not sure. I was like, I don't know, I don't know. Are they going to, and like, I was pretty certain they were going to kill Rocky. Because I even feel like I would have heard about it somehow. But,
Yeah.
but they showed this in the trailer to give the audience, like, could this be the end of Rocky's segment? Yeah.
Hey,
Hi,
Donnie.
Dr. Cathari. Mr. Balboa, how you feeling?
I feel good, real good. I could go now.
Heard you fell down. Was that the first time you fallen?
Without being punched.
I'm gonna give you some more fluids. That should help you feel better. And we're gonna run some tests in the morning and get you out of here.
Can you do this fast? Because we got a lot of stuff
Just-
to do.
Relax. All right, go to sleep.
I'll check on you later.
Thank you.
Let's do it fast. We have to.
Very typical again of, oh, I'm talking, so I must be okay. The doctor's like, well, no, you vomited and collapsed, so we'd like to run some tests.
Yeah, they clearly show like Adonis is very concerned, but Rocky's trying to he probably knows that there's something serious going on, but he's trying to not show it. And just like, there's something important to get to. And I don't know. It just reminds me of, I feel like people in the world do that. Like you put work or something, like you were so worried about. I did this, like when I got in my car accident, like I was just like, no, I gotta get back to work. I gotta get back to, like, hurry. Like work was so important. And so I didn't take the time to like take care of myself because, I had a job to get back to. So I don't know. I think that's like showing relatability to people as well.
Yeah, and often men of this age or ilk they're always like, they don't want to know. They feel like if they don't get the test result, then nothing's wrong.
Yeah. Like you can, yeah. If I just don't know. Yeah.
And these are the same men of this age who tell you to check your oil and fluids of your car breaks down, but they want to apply the same principles to their body.
Super good point. That's such a dad thing.
I'm gonna trade.
Let's go to sleep.
You guys need any more help?
No.
No, we're good, thank you.
Good. You got it?
So now we're back at the Rocky residence. Rocky's home on bed rest, I would presume, but he's been released from the hospital. We still, as an audience member, we don't know what's going on, but the tests were given. He's been released from the hospital. And Bianca and Adonis it looks like they're making Rocky a meal, maybe. Or Rocky's asked, "Do you guys need help in there?" This is Rocky's house, is it not?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. And it's, so Adani lives there as well. And
Right.
it's sort of like they're making like the family dinner, so to speak. And that's kind of how I took it anyway. Like not necessarily just for Rocky, but for all three of them. And so of course he's like, "You guys need help."
Yeah.
But you got lost for a minute. I have not seen food look like this in this house ever.
Yeah?
Yeah, usually everything I have is sauce or something on it.
So you can tell this is great acting by Sly. He's very cute dialogue. He's like, I haven't seen food prepared this way in this house like ever, because it was just him and Paulie, two bachelors. You can imagine they never cooked any real kind of 5-course meal type food or anything like a Thanksgiving dinner. But the way he's speaking, just note the way he's speaking, very soft, very kind of tired and weak, but he's trying to sound up. But he's not at his full self, his full strength. You could just tell by the way Sly's acting this scene that he's not his full strength. Just the way he's speaking.
Yeah. Oh, again, great acting
Yeah.
by Sly.
He was robbed, plain and simple. All they had to do was give him a best supporting actor. How hard could that have been? Come on. Yeah. Anyways, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
He's collard greens.
All right, you maybe just,
Just a little bit.
yeah, a little bit. Bianca, you're beautiful, and I think you're gonna be a great singer. And I think you're gonna be a great champ, like your father, maybe even better. And for me, who's lucky enough to be knowing both of you guys. Here we go. Chen Doani, 100 years. Lucky me. Keep working on that shovel hook.
All right, so they had dinner. He toasted them. He's feeling very giving in his. Bianca's gonna be a great singer. Wrong. But he was right about Adonis being a great champ. I don't know if he's better than his dad, but he still was a champ. So. Oh man, yeah. Sorry.
And he brings in little Italian quip. I kind of like that too, like the Shen.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm gonna get it wrong. Like it's like an Italian phrase, Shenduan or whatever he said.
Okay.
It's Italian, and he's obviously Italian.
There you
So,
go.
Yeah.
Now we're back at the ring, and he's kind of leaning against. He's still giving direction and training, of course, to Adonis. Yeah, there's another worker there helping as well, but Rocky is not in the ring with Adonis, and he's kind of leaning against the ropes.
Oh, that's it.
You can hear in his voice and the way he's talking, it's just very tired and lethargic, but still, doing his duty as a trainer.
I want to throw the hook on the same side. So you come up on the right, you throw on the right. It's very good. A little more vicious than that. A little more power. Overdo it. Yeah. Very good.
Hey, Rob,
Yeah. Good. You're looking good.
are you getting jealous?
Yeah, a little. Thanks. Hello, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, okay. All right, thanks.
So he just got a phone call from the hospital. Adonis saw these on the phone because read his face, but Adonis didn't know what the phone call was about. And they would never give news over the phone, but they would say you have to come in and we'd like to talk about the results.
And he's got the bouncy ball. He's still like that's a part of him.
Now, if it was good news, they wouldn't bother having him come in. So that's the problem.
Exactly.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, test came back, everything's fine, Mr. Balboa.
Right.
Have a good day. All right. But they're like, well, we'd like to talk to you about the results. It's a different discussion, and they don't ever do it over the phone. So he's in the waiting room, yeah, with his ball bouncing around, waiting for
Mr. Balboa,
that.
thanks for coming in on such short notice. Well, we went through your test results, and your biopsy came back showing signs of large cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
What's that do?
Well, it's a form of cancer. I know that sounds scary, but the good news is we caught it early. However, we will have to remove the tumor in your lymph nodes and start chemotherapy immediately.
My wife tried that.
Mr. Balboa, as far as options for treatment, this is the best plan of action.
No, I understand, but my wife tried that, and I don't think I want to do it. Didn't turn out so good, but it's okay.
With treatment, you'll still have a very good chance of recovery. Without it,
I'm okay with it, really.
well, at least take these. It has information on your diagnosis and options for treatment. We can start.
Thank you very much. Oh, listen, I appreciate if you wouldn't say nothing to nobody, okay?
All right. Ooh, getting teary-eyed there, Katie?
Yeah. Also, that scene alone should have won him the Oscar.
I know, it's ridiculous.
It was, I mean, all that nonverbal, and even like he's not saying words, but he's like clearly trying to hold back tears, and he's choked up, and he is teary-eyed. Like it's so good.
Classic scene. I know that there's two scenes in back to back that should have won him the Oscar. The stupid Bridge of Spies guy. It's like, ugh, it's just ridiculous that he won that over this. Anyway, so let's talk. So it's interesting. We learned a couple things here. So we learned that Adrian went through chemo, which we know is very invasive. It hurts the system because you're just shooting your body with radiation to kill the cancer that's in your body, and it's very, nausea, weight loss, hair loss, all this stuff can happen. And he's saying that my wife went through this, so not only did she die anyways, she died, uncomfortable. And so he's like, and then he says in the very end, he goes, I'm okay with dying. He basically just said, I'm okay. Like, I understand without treatment, I'm going to die, and I'm okay with that. It's almost like he's just made peace with the fact that I'm done with my life.
Well, and that he will be, from his
Belief system.
His belief system that he will be reunited with Adrian, and that's kind of what he wanted until he met Donnie. Sort of what he wanted. The other interesting thing is that, he's not a dumb person, but it shows that like his emotions are taking over his rational brain, in that like Adrian's cancer was a completely different type of cancer, and maybe that wasn't caught until later. And this doctor's trying to say it's very treatable. Like people do well if they, we caught it early. Like we really think you'll do well here. He's just not trying to hear that.
No, he's all of a sudden he hears the word cancer, he hears the word treatments, and maybe it's just not registering. But you're right. Yeah, she's kind of like the doctor was like, we caught it early. Like you're right. Maybe Adrian never got it. It was unfortunately sometimes cancer can form so quickly it's too late for people. They're already at whatever stage 3 or 4, and they're like, yeah. And again, you hear that Rocky music. This is a real classic Rocky music. I'm just gonna go back a little bit. You hear it. I think it's the Alone in the Ring theme.
Treatment. We can start.
Thank you very much.
Tell me if it's Alone in the Ring,
I
the same
appreciate
music.
if you wouldn't say nothing to nobody, okay? Oh man, there's so much traffic, you wouldn't believe it.
I mean, I guess it is the Rocky theme. Dun, dun. It's the Rocky theme played slow, but it also sounds like the Alone in the Ring sound as
It
well.
is
But
slowed down. It is. I think it is just the Rocky thing.
okay, slow
just
down.
really slow.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Was running late, huh?
Hey, that's the truth, Shaq. Hey,
the
just
truth.
get in the ring. Hurry up and get ready. Hey,
I've been ready.
Go ahead.
Been waiting on you.
Come on, just put your gloves on and stop talking so much.
So he's gone back to train Adonis. Of course, hasn't told him anything. And
You
he's
got
just
a few things to do.
so he's just doing your typical like just ignore it, it might go away.
Or just I think like he's probably thinking something like, well, just, I'm not going to tell anybody anything. I'm just going to try and like, as long as I have left, I'm just going to try and make good on my commitments and live my life as best I can until then. But that's so hard. Like, and you can see it on him. Like he's just carrying his huge weight, and carrying it alone.
Oh, I totally agree. That's well said. I was just, as you're talking, it's like, oh, the selfish part of me wants to watch the next scene because that's like the big Oscar moment. But I think we'll just leave it here because poor Kyle. I think we'd be cheating Kyle out of it's the best scene in the movie. Well, it's one of the best scenes or acting moments of Sly's career when he talks about. I don't even want to ruin it. We know when Adonis finds out and sees the pamphlets, that scene of Sly's acting after that is incredible. I don't know. What do we do? Because then right after that is the training sequence. Because he's getting treatment to get better, and while he's training Adonis as a whole. That would be a whole episode too, though.
You're like in the hospital. I know. Yeah, up to you.
Because that would be a good. That's a good episode of them training while he's. Isn't that right? Because the next sequence is the training.
I'm not like 100% on it, but I believe so.
All right, let's keep watching.
It's all about you. I already had my career. I did okay. What's your excuse? You got no excuse. Now is the time for you to rise to the occasion there. You can do it. Okay. All right.
Just really quickly.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He says it's like you don't really hear what he's saying. But I just noticed he said something about like he was like, "Come on, we're supposed to be training. Like, let's get this show on the road." And he was like, "I have an excuse. Like, I had a good career. I did okay.
Yeah.
But I'm done now." He's so modest. I did okay.
Yeah, he's champion of the world.
Next to Apollo, probably.
Yeah.
Like, Anyway, I just love that. He's such a modest. I just love him so much. I just can't help it. I'm sorry.
How dare you love the very subject matter of our podcast?
But he consistently, that's why Sylvester's a genius for this character. Like, he just continues to show us and grow. Like, he's grown over the series and like, he's this old man now and how we would sort of expect it. He's just such a good person. Sorry.
Don't apologize.
I love him.
That's why people love hearing your thoughts, because you have that emotional response, which is nice, like the feeling part of it, which is nice.
I want you to always, always, always pay attention to yourself first. If I'm not here, start with. Just start moving around.
So it's interesting. He's kind of prattling on a little bit. He's like, he's like kind of dumping everything. You're gonna do great. You're the best. Keep fighting. And if I'm not around, you just keep doing what you got to do. It's like, okay, that's very Rocky to kind of be a little bit, to kind of get ahead of himself a little bit. Like he's trying to dump everything on Adonis because in his mind, in Rocky's kind of like simple mind, he's just like, well, I might not be here in the morning tomorrow, Adonis. So
he doesn't know. I mean, he literally just got this news, so it's like so ever present in his mind, and he doesn't like. maybe I will die tomorrow. Like, he doesn't actually, he might think
No,
that.
but it's just funny how but in a weird way, he's kind of dumping on Adonis a little bit and being kind of
Yeah.
silly and jovial and, like just almost too much doting a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too many punches to the head, huh?
Yeah, we're ready to go.
All right, get going there, champ. Bell.
Come on, Creed.
But then there's a nice scene here that we obviously can't see on the podcast where he does kind of go solemn all of a sudden, and the facade, and that's what it was. It was he was being genuine with what he was saying to Adonis, but it was a bit of play acting to show that everything's okay, there's no problems, I'm just being normal and everything. And then Adonis turns his back to train, and Rocky's like, ugh. The brave face is gone.
Mm-hmm. It's these little moments that make it like that kind of stuff. It, while small, like all of those little sequences add up and really, really build. And that's all Stallone.
Yeah, and there's no here's the thing about this film: the nitpicking has been zero Stallone performance.
Mm-hmm.
There's been absolutely nothing to criticize about him at all in this film. I will argue, this nearly rivals his Rocky performance, and I would say it might even be better because he's a veteran actor at this point.
I agree.
Yeah.
Be first, Daddy. Come on.
Be first.
All right, man.
So now the scene is, of course, Adonis is in the locker room to get showered and changed. He sees Rocky's jacket hanging and sees some pamphlets sticking out. And I thought, well, why is he going through his jacket? But he knows Rocky went somewhere important. He knows that Rocky did leave the training, came back from that appointment out of the blue. So, yeah, he's like, I'm going to see what he's got in his pockets. Maybe a parking ticket or a receipt. Where did he go? He pulls out the pamphlets the doctor gave him. Cancer treatment. Rocky walks in.
This shit for real?
Doesn't matter. What you should be thinking about is that fight coming up. That's the only thing that should be on your mind, nothing else.
What you mean don't think about this? When you starting treatment?
I'm not doing no chemotherapy. No.
If you don't jump on this quick, you're gonna end up dying.
I know.
And you all right with that?
I am.
Man, you sound crazy, man. Give me the keys. I'll take you to the hospital right now.
I'm not crazy at all. If I could take everything that was good and put it into a bowl or something and say, hey, here, I'd like to buy one more day with my wife, I'd do it. I would die a happy man. Right then. Not gonna happen. So, everything I got is moved on, and I'm here. But you know what? It's okay. Because I said to myself, if I break, if I'm hurt, whatever, I ain't gonna fix it. Why bother?
And I'm just some bum that's living in your crib, just nothing.
You're a good kid and a good fighter. But you got your whole future ahead of you. Mine? Back there, like all them guys on that wall. In the back, in the past. We're going nowhere. I am to you just an old trainer. That's what brought us together, you know? We're not a real family. That was just in our heads, kid.
Okay.
Wow.
There's a lot going on, and as Katie wipes away the tears, I know I'm I'm not even. I know I've mentally prepared myself. It's like I know what's coming. The scene, of course, that just gets everybody is where he says, "If I could put everything that's good into a bowl and just buy one more day with my wife, I would do it." you know.
Yeah, it's funny. I literally just today was talking to my, it's funny, she's my boss, but she's one of my best friends.
That's
Uh,
convenient.
yeah. We used to work together. Long story.
Yeah, no worries. I
So
just see
story for another day. But yes, she had never seen the Rocky movies, and she kind of like last year started. So she's seen like I think like the first two with me, and she just today she was like asking about the podcast, and I was telling her that we're recording tonight, and uh, she doesn't get it. She's like, I love watching it with you because you love it so much, but she's like, it was boring to me,
Oh
the
no.
first one. And I'm like, I was telling her that I found it strange that women don't, there's not more like female fans. And she's like, well, we want more of a story. I'm like, well, that's all it was a story. She was like, it's boring. But I'm like, he is the epitome of what every woman wants.
Right.
Like, how is that not a thing? And she's like, yeah, we've gotten used to rom-coms and shit now where they're suave and they say exactly the right things. And like, we've come to expect that. But like, I'm like, no, I was like adamant against it. I'm like, the way that he puts Adrian on a pedestal, and he's just like he's just such a devoted husband. Maybe not so much a devoted father, but it's just like, how can a woman not love it? I mean, like, that's probably why I'm single, because like no one can compare. Like, this is what I want. This is what I want, and no one will compare. And so Adrian, and I was just telling her, I'm like, Adrian's been dead for how many years now, and he's still, that's all he talks about. It's just like, it just gets me. His love for Adrian is
All right,
so
guys.
endearing. Yeah.
The siren is calling. The cougar has entered the bar. She is. Who will be the man to sweep you off your feet? That's what we want to know.
I'm technically a cougar yet.
Well,
Hey.
Well, no. What is the age for? I don't even know. What is the age for cougars?
I assumed somewhere in your 40s.
Okay, that's fair.
But
And
I could be wrong.
I know you're under 40.
Yeah.
That's true. And I didn't mean I meant cougar as
I'm teasing. I'm just
I
teasing.
know.
Yeah, but sorry, I totally got off track.
No,
It's that,
no, not at all. That's awesome. I was going to say, though, something kind of dawned on me during the segment. So as much as what you're saying is absolutely true, his love for his wife, here's a thought. That love has blinded him. Because he has now been given, like he just said, I'm ready. Like Adonis, like, you're ready to die? He's like, I am. Well, that's a horrible, selfish behavior. This is the most selfish we ever seen Rocky. He's blinded what's right in front of him. And Donna says, hello, we have a relationship, a friendship. At the very least, I'm your friend. And so what am I in front of you? He's like, well, no, everything's behind me. Everything I've loved. And Donna says, like, I know you don't love me necessarily, but I'm here. I'm standing right in front of you. And we're supposed to be like a family. I call you Unc, and we're supposed to be like a family. And even Rocky says, oh, that's just in our head.
I think he was saying, the way that I took that was, so I agree that this is selfish behavior. Like you're right about his love for Adrian, like blinding him. Like he aside from this like glimmer of like training this new kid, and like that was fun for him. Now in his mind, he's like back to like, fuck it. Like I just want to go back to Adrian. But in order he knows that Donnie's going to fight him, and like he needs to, and in real life, I think this is almost impossible to do. But he does something that makes him look bad, that makes Donnie dislike him. I felt like him saying we're not really a family was his way of like trying to
maybe soften the blow that I'm gonna die.
Well, just like I don't think he really believes that, but I think he's saying it so that Donnie is like, well, fuck you then. Like that Donnie gets angry about it, and that's his way, because otherwise he knows Donnie's gonna like hang on to it. So he needs for Donnie to let go of him. Is kind of how I took it.
You know, yeah, I think you're saying it. And it's not like I don't think you're saying it quite like I'm thinking it. But I agree. I'm just trying to wonder what is Rocky's intention. Does he want? Would he have been happy had Adonis said, "Oh, cool, don't take the treatments, just train me till you die"? Like, it's interesting. What would Rocky like? It's kind of odd, again, selfish of Rocky's part to believe that the person in front of him would just encourage him to, yes, I agree, you should also not take the treatments. Just train me as long as you want and die. And so now we're seeing that Adonis actually cares about Rocky, and I think it's dawned on Rocky like, oh, I'm not being as empathetic as I used to be, or have, look, because he's human. He's not he's not God.
Yeah.
So he's made a mistake here. He's only basically he has thought of his grand exit. He's like, okay, I didn't cause cancer. It's not my fault. It kills people. It killed my wife. I'm going back to my wife. I don't want the treatments. I don't want to go through. I've had a good life. I'm ready to go. And then he's now realizing, okay, maybe there are people around me who aren't ready for me to go.
I think we see that later, but right now, I think it was very unselfish of him to, while he knows it's going to hurt Donnie, I truly think that him saying, we're not really family, that we just imagine that. I truly think that he's saying that just so that Donnie can get angry and let it go. Like in the same way that like, if two people love each other, but for whatever reason, they shouldn't be together. And the only way, like one of them has to be the strong one and say, I don't love you anymore. So the other could let go of it, you know what I mean by that? Like,
yeah, I know. That's interesting. I never saw it your way. I don't know where I fall on it. I just think he was thinking of himself. I don't know if he was even thinking like, I'm going to put this in Donnie's head. I think he was just an interesting boy. Great discussion points. We'll ask what we'll do is when Kyle comes back on the next episode, we won't play this whole scene, but we'll play the part at least where he says, we're not a family, and we'll ask Kyle what his thoughts are and why he feels Rocky. Because I will say it's very. This might have been the Coogler writing here to force the story, because I don't see Rocky talking like this.
it doesn't
felt
seem
a little.
like, yeah.
So
yeah,
this is a
I
plot
agree.
device. This is plot device dialogue for him to say. It's not very often his character in the franchise has purposely driven a wedge. That's why I'm saying that. I don't think he's ever purposefully said, I'm going to drive a wedge between us. He's inadvertently done it with his son, even with Adrian. He has created wedges in relationships that have been mended, mind you, but just because he's not thinking of their side of the story. So I'm wondering here, I think he was being honest. I think maybe he was unaware of just how much Adonis cared about him.
That could be. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was a big episode, and we're going to end it there. So, yeah. I don't know much else. Thank you. Or wanted to say, if you want to send us an email, gtdwithrr@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook, Going the Distance, Rocky Series Podcast. Follow us on Twitter. Going the Distance, Rocky Series Podcast will come up, and basically if you just Google it, it'll all come up with all of our handles and bios and everything. And if you want to be a Patreon, again, what does Patreon give you? Absolutely nothing. A little bit. What it does give you, well, what it gives us, it helps pay for the feed. We use Libsyn as a hosting site, and it's a very reliable, good hosting site. It's what we use to send this out to the world, and it does cost money every month. So it does help pay for the feed. If we get more, we can actually pump out more episodes for Doug, because the bigger the subscription that we pay for, the more episodes he can upload. Because you have a storage amount, So we're on a tier.
I wondered about that.
Yeah, so we're on a tier. Ultimately, the bigger the tier, we can get more episodes pumped out. But other than that, if you don't listen to the other shows, that's why I don't really say anything, because theoretically people could listen to this episode who don't listen to the Rocky Minute, so they don't care about Doug's ability to upload more episodes. So, but anyways, we do pay for the feed, and but what you do get is you get a link to these live video recordings where you get to see me, Katie, and Kyle. You get to see our faces. You get to see the movie as we speak to it. Some people really enjoy that. and or at the very least you get audio releases done early, and you're just throwing a couple shekels our way saying, hey, thanks for all the entertainment for hundreds of episodes. Here you go. Here's a couple bucks. As low as $1 a month, you get all that stuff. So our
It's
goal,
like a tip.
yeah, it's a tip. Our goal is actually 40 Patreon. We got 24, I think, now, and if we could just get that 40, who knows, maybe we'll increase it to 50. But yeah, we just want to reach a goal, I guess. I just picked 40 as an arbitrary goal. I don't know why. All right, well, there you go. You ready to take us out?
Ding, ding.
Oh, wow. Very nice. Okay, I'm just going to stop recording. Stop.